I'm Alex. I'm 49, quickly heading towards my 50th birthday this year. And my journey, I think it was either October 2016 or 2017, I can't remember. But I started, as you can see, Stevie's put the referral weight as 132.8. Heaviest, and just before I went into hospital to have my operation, I had a gastric sleeve. I was 22 stone 7 pounds in old money. I actually went through the service and the ABL service, and the best part for me, and I'm not just bigging her up here, was actually meeting Stevie, because she sort of like made me fall in love with exercise. Unfortunately, as you know, due to lockdown and stuff, I've not been to the gym. I do have quite a heavy job anyway, so I do still get quite a lot of exercise. But yeah, I've got to say that if you can sort of like get into the habit of exercising, it's just makes such a big difference. I did go through the psychology part of the assessment process, and it did make me realise a few things. Unfortunately, because I didn't have any comorbidities, I wasn't able to get my surgery done on the NHS. So I was fortunate enough to be able to pay for it privately. So I went to the Yorkshire Clinic in Bradford. Literally, it was an amazing experience, because it literally, I went for a pre-op on, say, the Wednesday, started my liver reducing diet straight away, and basically went in 2 weeks later and had the operation done. So it was great for me. Closest to goal weight I got was 13 stone 9, and that was after 7 months. I've got quite a big build, so I'm never going to be sort of like 10 stone. I think at the time my surgeon recommended a target weight of 13 stone for me and my build. So as I say, I got 9 pounds to it. As Bev said, it is harder than you think. I mean, I think Bev, you had a full bypass,
yes,
whereas I just had the gastric. But it is, and it's the weirdest thing, because I think you're sort of like conditioned to want to eat, aren't you? Even though you don't feel like eating, you don't want to touch it. So I made my partner go round and buy just a small bag of Cadbury's buttons. So I had my surgery on the Wednesday. I came home on the Friday. They had a really nice menu as well, let me tell you, at the Yorkshire Clinic, because it was all private and couldn't eat anything. Well gutted. so we did. I think on the Sunday I said, please just go and get me some chocolate, I just want to taste it, and it tasted foul. It was just, I don't know what happened, it was just horrible. The re-eating and the reintroduction to food is slow and painful, I think. And I think the bad thing about sort of private clinics is you don't get they say that there's a nutritionist and dietitian to help you, but once you've had your money and they've got half your stomach, in my case, you know, they're not as committed, I feel, as the NHS to sort of make sure that advice is available to you. So you're sort of like left to deal with things, you deal with it your own devices. You are on lifelong medication, as Bev said. I'm now prescribed Forcival, well, not Forcival anymore, but a good multivitamin, and I would recommend that you start that now anyway. Calcium, sorry, that's my cat. Calcium, oh gosh, what else? There's
B12 injections.
I'm on Lanzoprazole, 12 injections, iron. You have to make sure that, yeah, Lauren's just asked, have you had any acid reflux? Yeah, and I can only take the dispersible lansoprazole now for acid reflux. I can't still eat pasta and rice. It just doesn't settle in my stomach. My stomach does make a lot of very weird noises all the time. And yeah, if you eat too much, basically you're sick. So you do have to be sort of be careful what you're eating. You do know when you're sort of like full, but if you do sort of like carry on and think, oh, I'll just eat that little bit more, you can make yourself sick quite easily. I'm glad that I had it done. I wish I'd had it done earlier when I was younger. I did think that after having the operation, everything would be great and I'd be full of confidence. Nah, not at all. It is all in your head. You know, you have to have the psychology around it. It's not sort of like a magic wand, unfortunately. But yeah, as you can see from these pictures, you know, I do feel more confident. And like Beverly said, you can go to a normal clothes shop. The wedding picture, that's my sister, and she was a bit mortified really that I fit in a size 14 dress that day, because I don't think I'd ever been in a size 14 sort of for years. So yeah, like I say, I think these days, again, like Bev and like so many others, the weight can creep up quite easily. I do think you always need to be mindful of sort of like what you're eating. It's really easy to graze, especially on sort of like quite high carb stuff like biscuits, crisps, stuff like that, because you know. So any help you can get with a dietitian, any help you can get from psychology, and sort of like really tackle those habits that you've got prior to going for surgery, I'd highly recommend it, because they don't just go away. Yeah, just a couple of other things as well. People's attitude when you lose a lot of weight suddenly changes towards you. Unfortunately, I work in sort of retail, and people either I don't know if they're jealous, I don't know what it is, but people suddenly start to treat you very differently and are a bit like, you know, what you. I don't know. It was just, I had quite a few nasty comments like, well, it's all right if you can just go and get, you know, you've not really worked hard for it because you've just had an operation. Having an operation makes it a lifelong lifestyle change. It's not just sort of like, oh, go and get this off, then I'll go and lose the weight. Everything changes for you. Like you say, small portions. If we go out to eat now, I just order a starter still. I don't drink alcohol because, like I say, one glass and the many ones. So it's just, yeah, it does change your lifestyle completely. And like, it's hard. People don't realise how hard it is.
Wanted to get to a point where I could move about without having to take really strong tablets all the time, which luckily now I can. The first time properly, after I'd lost quite a bit of weight, my first initial thing was the first time I went out. Obviously, I didn't touch alcohol for about 18 months. So I was out, but I wasn't drinking. Do you get me? And I found it brilliant to go out. And I felt invisible. Now, to some people, you think, what do you mean invisible? But that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't the fat, cheery one in the corner. Oh, look, she got a lovely face. That's what I used to get told. Because all they could see was a big woman. Now, I was always a character, so I used to play it off. But the first time I went out properly, dressed up, you know, average size, average look, nobody looked at me. And I thought that was fantastic. Because prior, people used to stare, and people do stare, they're rude. And that was a changing point for me. Now, one thing that you do get, I mean, I haven't got lots, but I've got excess skin. It's mainly upper arms, upper legs, but at the age that I'm at 53, I'm no intention of being a catwalk model or anything like that. You can hide that. You can, when I'm on holiday, I don't care. But there was and there is excess skin. Now, some people find that have been ill with that or found that a problem. I haven't, but it is something obviously you just need to be aware of. Am I sorry? No, not at all. I'd rather have a little bit of excess skin than big floppy bingo wings and whatever what I had before. So that's me. I don't know if I can add to anything like that. I'm sure there are questions that you want to ask.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Bev, and there's lots of questions certainly coming through, and we'll ask those at the end. I just wanted to touch on, Bev, this fabulous picture that we've got here. Do you want to tell people about that?
Well, there was an opportunity to have a photo session, like at one of these boutiques, like these. It looked like a bit like Moulin Rouge where I went, and they said, there was this thing put. I think it was a competition originally, and I said, you know what? I've never ever would have the guts to do that, but you know what? I just fancy it. And I know they make you look more fantastic than you actually look, because they do tart you up a bit with the what do you call it? With the airbrushing and what have you.
Yeah.
But when I first went in, I thought, oh, what am I doing this for, you silly old so and so? And once I started doing it, it was liberating. And that is how I feel, I think. I feel liberated. And me, I'm not perfect. I probably haven't lost as much weight as I could have, because now I do smaller portions, but I do still eat, and I do still enjoy food. But to do that was just completely the other end of my scale of what I would never have dreamt of doing that. I would never have dreamt of looking like that, in private, never mind in public. But it was a boost, and it was brilliant, and it just made me feel special.
Yeah, I'll never forget the day you sent me that message when you said, look, I'm going to send you a picture. I'm not being weird, but I've done this and I feel so proud of myself.
And
I just
not sending you nudes.
Yeah. And you do look fantastic, Bev, and it's a fantastic achievement that you've had. So thanks so much for sharing that journey.
I'm part of, I have been part of the Tier 3 service in Rochdale since 2019. I was referred for surgery last year. Me and Jodie spoke a lot about preparation for that and all the issues I've had during COVID preparing for surgery. But as I've been reading the questions and listening to everybody talk, a lot of the comments have been mainly about preparing and getting to the point. And just a quick backstory on myself. When I first got referred to the surgery, to the Tier 3 service, which was before being referred to surgery, I weighed 227 kilograms, which is about 500 pounds. So that's quite big. And that kind of pushed me onto the course of doing all of this. And about 2 weeks ago, I was able to inform the Tier 3 service that I'd got down to 173 kilograms.
Brilliant.
So that's about 8.5 stone just to prepare for surgery.
Excellent.
And that was all the preparation was thanks to the exercise sessions and the people around me in the group. So don't feel ashamed of getting to know people or talking to each other.
Yeah.
And because they will help you after surgery as well. And especially if you don't have the support bubble at home or within your family, because the people in the service become like a surrogate family and they will help and encourage you constantly.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in, people are asking on the questions about achievements. Obviously, I went through the ABL Health journey myself. I wrote down how long it took and things like that. And it took 1 year, 7 months to go through my journey from referral from the GP through to my surgery day. And I did learn a lot of things along the way. But throughout the last year, since I've lost the weight, my 2 major achievements is that I went on a plane and I could fasten the seatbelt with no extender, and there was stuff spare as well. And I hadn't been on a plane for over 5 years.
Yeah.
So that was a major achievement.
Yeah.
And then also I went to Blackpool, to the Pleasure Beach with the children, and I fit on all the kiddie rides. So the tiny little rides where the kids sit in, I could go in and put the bar down, and my belly wasn't really in the way. So that was 2 major things for me.
So you ran an absolutely fantastic journey, everybody. Be assured. I mean, I had my surgery done in 2014. Once you're with the NHS and Salford, you win them for life, and you will get that support for life. And I can tell you, it's been absolutely fantastic. But there are things that you can do for yourselves before you have surgery. So listen to what the dietitian's telling you. Try and eat your food slower. Cut your food up to the size of a 20p piece, and try to eat that for 20 seconds before you swallow it. You can start getting into those habits, because believe you me, once you've had surgery and even beyond, you can't gulp your meals down, because you will suffer. So there's just little things you can do to start practicing it. And once you get into a routine, believe you me, it just becomes natural to you. But I could just recommend that to everybody. Listen to what the dietitians tell you.
How soon after having surgery were you guys able to get back to exercise?
I'd say about, I think I was off work for 12 weeks, and because my job's quite an active job anyway, I'd say about 12 weeks it was for me. But yeah, still sort of like need to watch the tummy area.
So is that any kind of like hard exertion, or is that walking as well?
Walking, I was sort of like taking the dogs out within the week. Fast paced walking, which is what I do at work, like I say, was 12 weeks. It was, and I had I'm an online shopper, for Sainsbury's, so I go around a nice big store and sort of like pick all the orders and stuff. So I think I was going to say something, I can't remember what it was. So yeah, so it is quite fast paced and stuff, and heavy work. I did have a staggered return to work as well, because of the job that I do.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
I was off work. Sorry.
No.
I was off work for about 4 weeks. Luckily for me, I work for the NHS, and everyone was really understanding. Exercise wise, I was up walking about and quite comfortably after maybe a week or 2. The thing I struggled was sleeping, because I sleep on my front. So there was a few weeks of sleeping on my side and sleeping on my back. But after probably 6-8 weeks, I was back sleeping on my front.
I'm a carer for my daughter and my dad. And I didn't feel like I could do anything for quite a few weeks. And then I started, once I knew obviously my wounds had healed, because I had keyhole, so they weren't too bad at all. I started swimming, because swimming, you can go at your own pace, you can go as fast as you want, you can just float, you're moving your muscles. Walking had always been an issue because I've got bad knees. I mean, now I can walk for miles, it doesn't bother me. But at the time, immediately after surgery, swimming was my go-to. I think I started to do light swimming after about 4 or 5 weeks.
In terms of exercise, often, well, always in the tier 3 services, we talk to you about exercise and the need to increase exercise kind of as we change that lifestyle. Would you say that there was that you guys personally did enough exercise before your surgery? Did you kind of realise the gravitas of how much exercise you would have to do and how you would have to carry on that in a lifelong fashion to keep the weight off and manage your weight long term?
I actually started my exercise journey when I was 5:30, so I started off doing some yoga, and like Beverly said, started off swimming, and I went to aqua aerobics, and that was mainly because I felt so self-conscious of myself. But now I do everything. Do exercise is my life, and I do it all the time. So it's mainly walking at the moment, which is fantastic. But the swimming, I do yoga, do weight training, and as you go through the journey, you feel more confident to go in the gym. But if you just go to your local, I went to my local sports centre at Eccles, and they were fabulous. People are not there to look at you, they're there to exercise themselves. So I would say to anyone, try and do whatever exercise you can and make it part of your routine.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, my knees were just like Beverly's. My knees were, I thought that was it. My intentions were to have the operation and then look at getting my knees done after that. But my knees are fantastic now. I do, today I've been out on a ride on my bike. I've done 15 miles. And then this afternoon I've gone into the shed and I've just done 20 miles on my bike that I've got in the shed. So your health just progressively every month, you feel yourself getting better.
Yeah, you can do more and more, can't you, all the time?
Yeah, to the point that, Alexandra, you just want to push yourself forward, and it's up to you. You've got to push yourself forward. If you don't carry on and start building up that regime, then you're just going to put that weight back up.
Plus it stops you thinking about food as well. While you're busy.
The problem is exercise makes me hungry.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm 20 months in now, and I think it's mind over matter. I don't get hungry. I still don't get, whether it's because I've had the gastric bypass, I don't get to a point where I'm hungry no more. I don't get like, oh gosh, I've not eaten, I'm starving. I've never ever had that.
No, I've not. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
Exactly. Because I think sometimes it's comfort eating, and if you can get away from that comfort eating and get to the point where you're saying, no, I don't want it.
Pick the habit, the old habit. Yeah.
That was a point that I was trying to make before. If you can work on your habits now and change them, it'll be so much easier. And I think, was it Lisa or sorry, the other lady, someone's just put a message, I can't see your name, said, get into those good habits as soon as you can, exercising, and find out why you're eating and try and work on that. Honestly, it really does work.
That's absolutely brilliant. But I can see a question that's coming up that's saying, do you get exercise obsessed? No, you don't. What you do get obsessed with is feeling healthy, that feeling of you're healthy, that when you wake up in the morning, you feel as though you've had a good night's sleep. I tell you guys, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing to feel healthy.
And a sense of achievement as well, that you can go to the gym and do that much.
What happens to excess skin? Now, I know we know that we can't have it removed on the NHS, but from your guys' perspective, kind of, how do you feel about your excess skin? Is it something you wish you'd considered more before surgery or anything like that?
No, I think for me, it wasn't for vanity. For me, it was my health. I think it was Alexandra said she was pre-diabetic. So was I. I got to that scale of 48, and no, I'm not. I'm not pre-diabetic. I've got rid of a lot of tablets. So my Ramapril, which was for my blood pressure, gone. And do you know what, folks? If you're on that mask and you're having that breathing mask from the PAP machine, after about 2 months, they'll be taking that off you. Things just get better. You've just got to keep that up.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't really seen much excess skin. I can see little bits on kind of my arms and my thighs where the skin looks thinner and slightly different. I'm about 4 stone off my goal kind of thing. And I think the excess skin will get worse. But I'm not going to be walking around the streets of Manchester in hot pants anytime soon. So I'm not bothered about it. I've always worn nice, just to wear a nice skinny pair of jeans. It's all in there. If it fits in, just to have a nice shape and a nice line, is better to me. I don't want to show off all my skin, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. You can dress where you're smart and you feel comfortable, but you can hide your little, you know, imperfections. You learn how to dress differently, don't you? I mean, with me, I've got quite hefty bingo wings. That's why I was laughing at him before. But I would rather have them and, you know, probably get another 15, 20 years out of my life. And like I say, at 53, I've never been vain. In fact, I've always begged to be the one in the corner nobody noticed. And now I can just be Miss Average, and I just dress comfortably. And the fact that I have got excess skin, if I would say 15, 20, whatever years younger, I might consider trying to get something done with it, you know, to pay to have it done. Yeah. But where I am at the moment now, it was health. It was health. It was to be around longer for my daughter. It was to be around longer for me. And that came before. And I could see I was on the slippy road. I was very lucky. I just about missed the diabetic bit. I think I was on the cusp. And, you know, I would have, my blood pressure was starting to go up, things like that. And it was to nip all that in the bud and just have a healthier, happier life.
Yeah, I think it's really important. So just to summarise on that section of the Q&A, and then we'll take some more questions. So in terms of from the surgeons, you can return to work 2 to 3 weeks. It's all keyhole or laparoscopic surgery. So essentially there aren't any restrictions to your exercise, but I do recommend that you don't engage in weightlifting, anything that uses your core in any big hurry, or contact sports, just to be a bit more on the safe side. But then when I'm with the surgeons, they're like, oh, it's not open surgery anymore. You can do anything and everything with keyhole. So essentially it shouldn't hold you back for long. In terms of excess fat, so this is the fat that you're targeting to go away by having the bariatric surgery, and the rapid weight loss happens in that first sort of 4 months, should we say, when you're weaning your new stomach back onto a normal, albeit smaller, diet. Any demand you put on your body, you are not going to get the calories from what you're eating and drinking alone. So it has to use your excess fat. So in the case of Stuart, who's really excelled with his weight loss, he's not alone, but you're definitely one of the people that have lost a lot of weight, almost beyond, you know, the 100% of your excess fat. And I do think that's because when you genuinely feel like you can do more, and everybody gets that feeling of how you run with that is up to you. And some people run and some people walk that dog more, and some people just feel like the ease of being able to walk through the school run. So everyone's got different degrees of what they feel they can do. But if you want to kickstart that weight loss again, it's definitely down the exercise kind of regime, because you're not, anything that you eat, your body will use those calories first. And then when it hasn't got that source, it will go to your excess fat, break that down and use that for burn that off. So that's just something worth keeping in mind.
Is there anything you wish you had known before surgery that you weren't prepared for or expecting, that you could share from your personal experience?
Refeeding, I think, because you can't really, people could sort of like explain, we can sort of like sit here now and say it's really just tough, it's really difficult, until you actually experience that, just being on liquids, then going to soft food, then going to sort of like harder food and stuff. I'd say that's the most difficult thing.
Getting used to it.
Getting used to it, yeah, and trying it, and just the fact that it just, I don't know, some food just tastes different.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for me was the liquid side of it for the first 3 weeks. It's there's no variation in your food. You're on liquid. I mean, I looked at I found a company in the Lake District that did bone marrow. So I used that to try and keep, you know, the nutrients in. But that was so hard. That 3 weeks was so hard of just the same old. You're just on liquid. You know, you've got to be prepared. If you're going to do this, you've got to be committed. You've got to be prepared to do this.
Yeah.
I found the tiredness the worst part for me was the tiredness, because I'd always been really active. I like dancing, and I couldn't get back to dancing straight away. I just used to do a little bit in the kitchen on my own. But for me, it was the tiredness that was the killer. I could manage the diet and I stuck to it, the 3 weeks liquid and everything else. It's that incessant tiredness. I just could not get myself to feel, and I used to go out every day for a little walk just to try and get the fresh air and to keep active. So I didn't want to get any clots or anything. So I would go out and walk. And as soon as I could get back dancing, I did. And that was about 8 weeks in. So I was going between the semi-soft food and back onto normal foods. Probably around about the 8-10 weeks mark, I went back dancing. But I had plenty of energy by then. But it was that tiredness at the beginning killed me. I couldn't work for the first few months. I was so tired. But then I have a busy job, a lot of running around. So
thank you. Anybody else got anything they want to share there?
Yeah, I think the hardest part for me is I was really scared. So I know someone's just said about the anaesthetic. I was really scared about being a big person and going through such a major operation. I actually had mine done at Salford Royal, so actually at the hospital, and I was really scared. But when I woke up later the evening, I was so pleased I had it done. And I think it is a massive achievement that, you know, sometimes you do have to be really scared and frightened, but the outcome after being so scared, and the morning after my surgery, seeing Chris and then Jodie kind of cheered me back up to see someone, you know, who I knew. But I think, you know, have confidence in yourself, try not to be scared, and you can do it.
I have to say, I was exactly the same as Laura. It was the first time I'd ever had a general anaesthetic in my life. And so I was so worried about it. But I have to tell you, I was up and walking within, well, about 4 hours after I came back from surgery. And just, you saw, but I felt great. And like Laura, you feel fabulous that you've actually, you know, been brave enough to do it, because it is a big, massive decision. But I understand totally how scared people can feel.
So at one time you would have said, oh yes, we have specialist anaesthetists for this, but actually the pandemic that everybody ignores is obesity. So every patient coming into the hospital, 1 in 4 of them will be obese, and they're not necessarily having weight loss surgery. So our anaesthetists across the board are much more experienced in managing people that are bigger, and it's not a problem at all. And we have our own specialist anaesthetists. So when you come and meet us as an individual and you see our medic and you meet your surgeon, anything where we've got any concerns at all, we book you in with an anaesthetist so that they can talk everything through with you, all your conditions, how they look after you, what their job role is, so that you feel in very safe hands.
Yeah, your body definitely changes. You've got to learn how your body now starts to work. Once you've had this operation, it changes.
Yeah.
If you were somebody that didn't break wind, God help you, you're going to break wind. and God help your partners as well. Because you do change. And you're learning about your body all along, even now, 18, 20 months down the line. I'm still learning. But you deal with it. But yeah, your body does change, doesn't it, girls?
It's the gurgling of the stomach that I find. It's just all like, it's like talking to me all the time, my stomach. It's very strange.
Yeah, my stomach gurgles a lot too.
Yeah.
Now, nearly 6 years on from my surgery, and it's not stopped. But on the plus side, I don't get a lot of wind now either. So that's a good thing.
I don't know about you lot, but I think sometimes it's woke me up to the point that it's literally woken me up.
So what support did you get when doing the liver reduction diet? And were you given a strict list to stick to, or could you choose from a variety of things?
Well, with me, I went to I was given the liver diet via Salford. I think it was actually Jodie or one of the couple of sessions I went to when Jodie was there. And it's laid out, well, at the time you had lovely pamphlets, and it gives you basically so many protein, so many this, so many that. It's not a specific list as in you can only eat certain particular foods. It's certain food groups. It's, to me, it resembled, from what I could gather, it was a bit like an Atkins diet. You could eat some protein, lots more veg. Even your veg was limited. Everything was limited. There's enough choice, but even though you've been trying to lose weight, that is kind of a final, for me, it was a final, oh my God, this is like torture. It's like, I've got to go like to boot camp for 2 weeks before they'll touch me. But it is a restrictive diet. There's still plenty of choice, but not a lot of it. And as much as I wasn't eating as much because we were all losing weight for our ops, I still thought, it's not a lot, this. And like I say, I made myself a chart and I ticked off every time I used one of the food groups in the day. And I planned anyway, because that's what you get into, and that's what you taught us all, Stevie. If you plan ahead, it's always, you're less likely to fail. So, but I planned virtually the 3 weeks before the surgery.
I think since that liver shrinking diet, I like salad.
Wow.
I didn't like it before. I know, like salad. My wife thinks I'm strange, don't you?
Yeah.
No wonder you Windy Miller.
But I think I gave myself more salad and more veg during that liver shrinking. And
you can. But
and do you know what? That liver shrinking is nothing to what happens afterwards. So take that on board and enjoy that liver shrinking diet for 2 weeks beforehand, because it's nothing to what you're going to face afterwards. That is absolutely fantastic. You will love it. But enjoy that first 2 weeks of that liver shrinking diet. And it sort of starts you in the right path. And it does.
I found the liver restriction diet quite easy. One thing I would have to mention is, it's that build up. It's build up to kind of Christmas Day, your operation day. So everything's there behind you. But I remember one of the patient experience I went to before I had my operation was someone said, did you want to have a big blowout before the day of your operation? And I would just advise everyone, don't ruin that 2 weeks. Stick to it, to the line, because if you think, right, it's the night before my surgery, I'm going to have a last curry or a last pizza, it's going to completely ruin everything. So stick to it. That's the best thing. You've got that Christmas Day, you've got it there to look forward to, and that 2 weeks working up to it, it's exciting. Just go along with what you're doing.
Yeah, just to add into that, the surgeon, unfortunately, if they get there and your liver's too big, they just close you up again. And luckily, it rarely happens through Salford. And that last supper you were talking about, people usually do that before the liver reduction diet. So whatever it was that was your favourite that you worried you're going to miss, that might be what you're having before you start the liver reduction. And the reason it's so important is your liver's a whopper. I don't really understand how it fits in where it does, but it does. It's the size of a rugby ball. And by doing the liver reduction diet, you're literally sucking it out the way, because we've all seen the liver, they're quite squishy. Everybody loses weight on the liver reduction diet because we're targeting fluid. Some people lose a stone on the liver reduction before they've even hit the table, but that's why, just echoing what Laura's saying, that's why that last supper is no good, because unfortunately your liver just literally refills again. So you've really got to be that vigilant with it during those 2 weeks building up to your surgery.
Do you want to tell everybody how long the aftercare is for and what that kind of entails?
Okay, so in terms of follow-up care, hopefully you don't need much surgical follow-up care, in the sense that you'll come back to a clinic with me at 6 weeks and then at 4 months. And as long as you're not having any problems, which obviously we don't want you to have, you don't need a surgeon anymore. And you carry on your merry way with the dietitians over a sort of a 2-year period. And in the mix of that is a yearly annual appointment with our medical weight management team. And they offer this for life. And I don't think anywhere else on the planet offers this.
How do you find being around family and friends eating and drinking big portions when you can't?
I'll answer this one. I don't think it bothers me. Like I said, I went on holiday to Turkey in August, and the food was absolutely amazing. And there was loads of like big, massive plates and things like that. And obviously, I didn't want to say to the restaurant owners, I've had this bypass. I can't eat such big portions. But luckily, everyone around me helped me to make my plate look smaller. But I like seeing other people enjoy their meals as well. And you know, I try and pick a little bit of everything, so I don't, like I used to, kind of make sure you eat all, you know, your veg before this. Like I was younger, I just have little bits of everything, so I feel like I've ate a full meal because I've eaten little bits of everything on my plate.
I can just say I have absolutely no shame in when I go for a meal asking them to box whatever I've not been able to have. If I go for a curry, we ask for it to be boxed, and it does me 3 times. So I have no shame at all in asking. In fact, I quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
The next day.
Well, I'd echo that as well. I've been out with Christine and we've been to Carvery. So,
Yeah.
And you know what? You're a cheap date. So when you go for Carvery, you can have a fabulous Carvery and a meal for the next day. But
That's
what
right.
I will say, you'll have to excuse me, Yorkshire's Terrier is a minute. One thing I would say to the group is you do have to watch that your partner doesn't put weight on, because they will be tempted to finish off what you don't eat. So, you know, whilst you're losing all that weight, your partner could end up being where you are now. So, you know, all joking aside, you have to be careful of that with your family, that they don't eat your food.
Sometimes as well, if you've got a good restaurant that you go to all the time, if you tell them what you've got and tell them the issues that you've had, and you can't have the fats and you can't have the sugars, they'll do it different for you. I mean, I had a restaurant that did, and you don't have to eat everything on your plate. You eat what you want, send it back. They're not going to say anything. They'll put it in for pig's will.
Also, if anybody who has the surgery and enjoys, when we're allowed to enjoy restaurants and so on again, and that's a big part of your social scene, but you don't really want to announce to the table or to the staff. I have restaurant cards, and you can show them the restaurant card. It's just something you can put in your wallet, and it simply says, I've recently had surgery on my abdomen. I can only manage a smaller portion, a starter, or So you don't have to kind of feel like you've got to explain yourself, because some people can find that so uncomfortable to the point where they don't always want to go. So yeah, you know, lots of people eat off starter menus, and I wouldn't bother with the kids menu because it's normally rubbish food and massive portions anyway.
You're right, Beverly, because when I went to Tenerife the year after I'd had my surgery, they all stand outside trying to get into the restaurants, and I just said, are you able to serve a half portion? And they actually gave me the child's menu, but the adult food at half price, and I was getting practically the same as everybody else, but just a very small portion, and it was ideal, and it was great. I had no problems with it at all.
How long do you have to stay in hospital after surgery?
I was less than 24 hours.
Yeah, I was just overnight.
Yeah,
overnight. Yeah, just overnight.
Yeah.
I went in on the Wednesday and I came home on the Friday.
Yeah, it was just one night for me, and luckily I got a private room as well, which I really appreciated.
I did too.
Yeah. Same here.
So did I.
Thank you for that, everybody. That's absolutely amazing. I think all the participants today, everybody that's been watching, is really going to appreciate your insight, and hopefully, you know, they've picked up a few things that they didn't know before, and they've got some motivation, some confidence that they can go ahead and do this. So thank you so much for, you know, taking the time to share your stories. And Jodie, thanks as always for being the hostess with the mostess and the lady with the